So, guys, I gotta ask, who at Mojang thought this was a view that was so necessary in the game that we just had to add it because Boomer needed to stare at his feet? How you guys doing? Welcome back to my Let's Play series. This is Boomer, and I am your host, hiding behind or in front of our new Iron Golem house, tower, whatever name you'd like to give it. Been working on this for the last couple of days. Let's get out of here before those slimes decide to come get me. So we've got a base for the tower to kind of sit on here. Nothing too extravagant, just a nice little prismarine base. We've been using bone blocks for the walls along with some dark prismarine. We've been working up here, revamping. We also had to revamp a lot on this farm design because unfortunately my zombie died a few times. Didn't notice I misplaced one set of villagers a block too close to the zombie when an iron golem spawned. He decided to take my boy out. Oops. And left me without a zombie to scare the villagers. So we've had to move everything 3 blocks apart. Now, having said that, I can't believe so many of these guys are just in such a hurry to die in lava. So here's the challenge that I'm finding with this farm is that once I added the zombie, it got so productive that iron golems, I mean, it's like I said, it's 1,000 iron an hour. What'll happen occasionally is 2 iron golems will fall and land in the water almost identically at the same time. And because of the water, they get in a big hurry to go down there and, well, see what's going on. They're trying to get into that hole. The problem is they're just about the size of the hole, so 2 guys start fighting, and this can happen on occasion. And actually, I had one where I think it was 34, almost in a perfect pattern in there. So I need to actually go through and widen that hole to a 3x3 hole to stop this from happening. So I'll probably do that later on after this episode's done. But what we're going to do with this tower, let me kind of get up here a little bit. And we'll just kind of plop ourselves down on this little podium right here. So you can see what we're doing. We're still working on bringing everything over. We've kind of done like an old, maybe 1910, 1920, old school like downtown building with the stairs and the pillars in the middle. The sidewall over here. See if I can get far enough over. It's going to kind of mirror the bottom, but only the center 2 are going to mirror up. We're going to put a ceiling over that, and then we're going to add one more smaller section width and lengthwise and height, probably about half of it height-wise. And that will become the Iron Golem's tower. So we're going to take this, duplicate this on the left side. The back is going to be a relatively flat, partially because it faces the ocean. Partially because there's not enough room back there either. I might be able to get a couple of the green towers going up behind it. I'm not holding my breath. But we'll see how that goes. Now, I do have some iron golems playing guard duty out here too. There is still a bug that has been in Minecraft since I started playing 6 years ago that not in a single version of Minecraft has Mojang been able to fix. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of bug reports on this, and every one of them says resolved, 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 except for like 2 or 3. Now, an iron golem cannot spawn on a block that is not solid. For example, it cannot spawn on a stair, but it will spawn on the block below the stair if that block has a spawnable surface. I have a upside down stair below a regular stair, and sometimes they are spawning on the upside down stairs. That is very rare, but it is still happening. It's like there should be a really basic check that if the block you're going to spawn on, you look above it. If there's anything there, slab, string, step, wall, anything, that fails the check automatically. I don't understand why that is so hard to code in Java. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to send the guys a message, hey, does anybody even think of this? Check the valid block that you want to spawn on and look right above it and make sure there's nothing there. or actually the 2 blocks above it, or since an iron golem is really almost 3, there should be a 3-block check. If there is not air 3 blocks high, 1 block wide of each spot, golem don't spawn there. It should be that the only that the only valid spot an iron golem can spawn here is on that platform. Now, in the new mechanics in 1.15, actually 1.14, 15, and 16, my understanding the way this works is that an iron golem cannot spawn more than 7 or 8 blocks forward and backward. I've already had golems spawn in the water, in the ocean, on the ocean floor. By every standard Mojang has put in place, that is 100% impossible, but it has happened. So, there's just, when they say things are fixed with 100%, I have a hard time believing it, and I know they try really hard. I know they do. But it would just seem there's such basic things that are missing in the game that, I kind of look at it as real simple stuff that should be checked for, and it's not. So maybe at some point we'll get it fixed. But the goal for today is not to spend much time with the iron golem farm. Our goal today is to look at the new mushroom farm design that I was talking about. That's it. It is. So this is my own design. It's nothing fancy or special. It's not the most productive mushroom farm in the world. It's a farm designed to fit in the space I have to work with. So, to give you an idea here, yes, I'm kind of jumping up. Here's how this works. This kind of a design is not new. This I did not invent. I don't remember the individual that I first saw this farm creation with. But it is for the most part, it's relatively efficient. So here's what happens. Below this layer of mycelium is an air block, and then below that is another mycelium. If you're not aware, a mushroom, when it's time to spawn, checks in a 3x1x3 area centered on the shroom. So it looks at these 6 blocks around it, the 2 to the left, and then a 6 below it. And if it has a spot and it passes all the checks and it can spawn, well, that's where it would spawn. Up to where in a 9x9 centered on a mushroom, if there's 5, so it could spawn up to 5. So realistically, it can spawn me 2 more. So what should happen, or is happening occasionally, is that below this block and on here, you will start to see mushrooms spawn. And they can spawn at any light level when it's on mycelium, so I don't have to worry about the light level. We actually, instead of using a whole ton of pistons to move the mycelium and cause a lot of lag, we're simply using 2 pistons to move 12 blocks at a time. And what we're doing on here for the timer, I'm going to jump down to the timer. Oh, nice, acrobatics, is we're using a sugarcane farm. Simple, one wide sugarcane. Once the observer sees it, it fires, pulls the pistons back for about 5 seconds to allow all the mushrooms to drop into the water chamber underneath, and then closes back up. To keep it open for 5 seconds, we're not going to jump in this hole. Are you kidding me? I have to, oh my gosh. Boomer, you noob. All right. So, I'm using a pulse extender. It's on the other side. Right? Yeah. I'm using a simple pulse extender to shut that signal off. And this one lasts about 5 seconds. So like I said, the bottom one pulls out first, then the second. As this farm goes up, it'll take a little bit of time to get it all the way to the top. I need enough time for those mushrooms to drop so that underneath here where the water chamber is, it collects it. So I'm going to bust one of these. Mr. Enderman, what are you doing in here? I told you I'd call you after work. All right. So as it retracts the mycelium, the mushrooms naturally will fall. Do I have a mushroom still in my inventory? Yeah, let's send one down. Falls into the water chamber. Water sends it right to the hopper. We collect it. After 5 seconds, the piston kicks back in. And it closes back up and starts spawning all over again. And we're going to simply run this all the way up. We only have that one layer of water, and that's all we really need. We're going to build this up and see how long it takes for the top layer to fire, and then we're going to have to adjust this as needed. More than likely, I can probably fit 4 more comparators in based on how I have it set up right now. If I start the delay back on this row, I should easily be able to go to 8, keep the block, and that should give me probably about a 9 to 10 second extension of the lack of a pulse, actually, in this case, because I want to keep the pistons retracted. So I'm going to get to work on this, and I'll be back in just a little while. So again, I ask, what is the purpose for this view? Oh, I did discover something kind of cool. When you shift, I put on a tie. Can you imagine that? Look at that. No tie, tie. No tie, tie. No tie, tie. Hey, do the tie dance. All right. Well, anyways, we're back, guys, and I wanted to show you there actually is a purpose for this view, is to see that this mushroom farm is done. We're going to try to fly down here, not hit the walls left and right, although it's very tight quarters, just to get an idea of what this thing took to build. Hey, look at that right at the bottom. All right. So if we try to count the layers, I didn't even actually count them as I went up. I'm going to say somewhere around 24. Just to give you an idea, trying to figure out the capacity and speed of this farm. Well, you've got 2 big variables. One, instead of using sugarcane, I've actually switched to bamboo. Sugarcane was just going a little bit too slow for my taste. Now the bamboo might be a tiny bit too fast, but I guess I'd rather be fast. I was having some layers where I had 5, 6 mushrooms spawn, and I was having to wait 15 minutes for the sugarcane to grow, so it stopped the production of the farm. So given that bamboo is the fastest growing plant that I could do this with, that's what we've chosen. And it seems to go pretty good. To give you a rough idea, and I only did this once, where I timed it for 1 hour, and we got, it was about 85 to 90, somewhere in that area. My guess is you could probably see at least 100 an hour, depending on, again, how fast this runs and, the spread rates. The one thing I'm having to watch for is, again, making sure that anything that drops from that top layer has enough time to hit that water stream before it closes back up. Otherwise, it's going to hit that layer and then it's going to despawn, or any of the layers above. So when this thing gets to the 3rd layer of bamboo, I want to see how much time it takes from that top layer retracting until the bottom layer closes down. And that'll kind of tell us, okay, is it staying open long enough to get those items to fall all the way to the ground? Or do we have to go over and kind of mess with the pulse extender? Because the signal, and I had to change where the signal was coming off of too, it wasn't going uniformly. Because the pulse extender, oh, there we go, hold on. Let's check. Let's kind of count this here. Last one it goes. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that might not be enough time. You know what? I'm willing to bet you that we're losing mushrooms simply because this pulse extender isn't long enough. What makes it hard is the pulse itself is 1 tick coming off of it's the observer detecting this. So, we're able to give a 4 tick delay, but it's still just a tiny little pulse. What we really would love to have, and maybe there's a way I can do this, would be to have either a piston extend with a redstone block or something else to make the signal last longer, because this actually does, the signal is so short coming off the observer that this doesn't stay on all the time. But clearly 6 is not going to be enough, so I'm going to have to play around with this signal design, and I can run an observer, even off of the observer instead of off of the repeater, excuse me, or even when we're over here, but I've got to find a way to keep this pulse extender running just a little bit longer because, like I said, a 3-second drop from up there to down here isn't going to cut it. Let me work on something. I'll be right back. All right, guys, so we found a quick solution. We added 2 extra comparators on this end using the building frame to send a signal back around, but just that alone wasn't enough. The pulse was thready at best. This was bouncing back and forth. So I added a pulse extender on this side, and what that did is it kept it solid while the signal worked its way around. In effect, it doubled the amount of time that it kept from when the top one fully retracted to where the bottom one extended. It doubled it to 6 seconds. Given at the rate of things fall, it takes just over 3 seconds from the very top to the bottom. Give it, say, a second to recover from the piston pulling the block back. So let's say if it takes 4.5 seconds to get down here, the piston retracts for 6. So we're good. So everything should come down. So I'm guessing that might increase this productivity a little bit. Looks like there were quite a few in there to begin with. So that's 106 in just over an hour. So that's not bad. So I'm kind of happy with it, actually, to tell you the truth. And like I said, this is something I came up with. It wasn't that difficult. Like I said, I've just pulled bits and pieces of knowledge that I've learned in the game over time to get this to the point to where, it'll work. I'm willing to bet now that we fixed the potential loss of items that we could see anywhere between 100 and 120 per hour versus the 90ish that we had initially gotten. I'm convinced that items were getting lost in, say, the bottom 5 or 6 layers. What's so funny, though, the one thing we're having to deal with is Endermen getting in here and stealing watermelons and running the redstone. I don't know why. For whatever reason, an Enderman have been teleporting in from outside into this room and taking watermelon. And I'm not sure what's going on. We're going to have to file a grievance with the union or something to get it to stop. I've had watermelon pulled out. I've had leaves pulled out. I've got a mysterious light source up top on the other side. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like in the last 2 days, Minecraft has just gone berserk. And just weird things are happening right now. But I'm out of steak. I'm going to have to go home and get some more. So the mushroom farm is done. I'm going to take you back up to the iron golem farm. And we've had to continuously adjust. This bug of Mojang's is just frustrating as all heck. I'm still seeing iron golem spawn where it says it's physically impossible to. I'm still having the zombie die, although no mob can reach it. He's not dying from sunburn. I've checked the server logs. He's dying from an iron golem. It is physically impossible for an iron golem right now to spawn anywhere but those 3 platforms. And yet, I have one there. Whether he spawned on the stairs and walked his way around and fell, or he spawned there, either way, according to Mojang, is impossible. So clearly, it's not impossible. They don't know necessarily what they're referring to. And like I said, maybe someday we'll get a fix, But hey, in the meantime, we're just going to have to continue, at least to try to protect the zombie. So I've installed, I'm going to call them, they're COVID panes, really. I put glass walls between the villagers and the zombie, and I've left just enough of a hole for the villager to see the zombie through the glass. For whatever reason, villagers cannot detect or are not detecting the zombie through a solid pane of glass. So I've left 2 holes there to ensure that the villager can see them and spawn iron golems like they should. Same thing down there. I've got 2 right there. Hopefully they're going to spawn one and make me look good. And if not, they're all getting detention after school today. Oh, they're getting detention later. All right. Maybe they didn't sleep yet. Who knows? I know I saw one spawn earlier, but anyways. So we're going to work on getting this building done, I think, for the next episode. I want to get it done. I want to move on. I want to start some other projects. We got some big things going with some things we still need to finish, like the floor, the walls, the glass, some more farms. We got a lot to do. So I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and call today a day? You know, it's been fun. We're having a lot of things getting done. We're making progress. I'm really excited how the base looks. And I'm glad you're here watching with me. If you've got any suggestions, comments, I'd love you to hear, hear from you in the feedback comment section. You know what I'm talking about. So just stick those down there so I can see what's going on. If you're new, consider subscribing. But I thank you guys for watching. And always, when you're playing Minecraft, you gotta go boomer or you gotta go home. We'll see you later.